morning guys, welcome to my horse's morning and evening and all the in-betweeny little bits winter routine. As you can see, it's pretty dark. I'm always so impressed with how well the iPhone produces light even when it's really dark outside. I'm not a morning person. You guys know this if you've followed my channel for a while. Not a morning person in the slightest. I hate getting up at this time of year. Absolutely detest it. I know there'll be people that are interested in what time I got this morning. It differs for me in the week. It's completely dependent on my work, how early I need to be in for my work and so on. So this morning my alarm went off at 6:30. That didn't mean I got up at 6:30. I got up at about 7:15. I'm really fortunate my horses live next door to me, so I'm so lucky that I don't have to travel anywhere, and that does mean that I don't have to get up quite as early as I'm sure many of you do. So yeah, so it's completely dependent on what time my job starts to what time I have to get up in the morning. But so yeah, I'll do my best to film it. Obviously it's really grey, it's raining and it's dark out here, so I'm not sure how good the footage is, but I have got some pretty good yard lights. So yeah, anyway, I best get going because you know what I'm like, I can talk for England and I don't want to be late this morning. So in the mornings I like to try and give myself an hour to do them, but I never do that. I can do them easily in 45 minutes. Sometimes I like to test it and go for let's see if we can do it in half an hour. Not a good idea, but I can manage it just about. At the moment I have the worst horse owner guilt because I don't think I'm doing a particularly great job. It's so hard at this time of year, and obviously mine are in full time because of the land being so wet. I mean, I've never known our land as wet as it is at the moment, even though we had that cold patch. The amount of rain we had again yesterday, everywhere it's just underwater again, and the turnout pen isn't great this year and things like that. So the guilt of not doing enough with them and not making, life entertaining enough for them at the moment is real, and I feel just really bad all the time for them.
So the queen of the yard is always the first to be done in the morning because you can't keep her waiting, otherwise she gets a little impatient.
So I'm going to try and muck out. Let me go and find the fork. So every day we do stable swaps, and obviously each of the horses go out in the turnout pen. So someone will go out there this morning, and then when I come back at lunchtime, they normally get ridden or they'll get swapped over. So everyone does at least get some time in a different space, which is important to me. Like I say, this year the turnout pen, because it's been so wet, isn't very good. It's just waterlogged the whole time. So the barn bit's perfectly fine, but the actual outside bit's not very good. So it's not as good as it could be. So I need to see if I can try and somehow sort that with a better surface or something out there, because it just isn't very good. You may notice I look like I'm mostly chucking haylage away. That's because I am. Sienna is a massive... Excuse me? This is what he does to wind Sienna up. Exactly that, and it drives her insane. Currently, Sienna's bed is just full of haylage. She's been pulling it out of her manger again, which she did last year. I think she does it because she thinks it's fun, but she pulls it all out of the manger, sticks it where she pees, and then won't eat it again. So it's really annoying. I don't want to give her a hay net with her back. It's really important that she stretches down, but I do end up wasting so much haylage. Well, I'm looking a bit more rosy cheeked now. I am in fact a little bit behind this morning. I think I forget when I try and vlog, it takes away 5 or 10 minutes from my morning. So currently I'm hand walking in the arena with Mr. Coop, because Mr. Coop is the one that's going back into his stable. So whichever horse hasn't either been in the turnout pen or going into the turnout pen needs to be hand walked in the morning, because obviously then they've been inside for too long. They need some sort of stretch. Also this year, I'm out of breath. That's how much I'm rushing around. This year his legs are swelling a little bit, which they've never done before, but normally he's either out in the turnout pen full time or at least getting kind of half a day out there. So he is struggling a little bit this year. Maybe also because of his accident, who knows, but more of a reason why he needs to have a walk around in the morning. Not that he particularly wants it, nor is he very interested in doing it. And quite restless, I can hear them moving around out there. Excuse the messy yard. Didn't have as much time as I'd hoped this morning, but everyone is very happy and quiet eating their breakfast, so I will see them at lunchtime. I'm clashing dreadfully this morning with my fluorescent jacket and bright yellow coat on, though at least the cars should be able to see me. We're 17 days away from the shortest day of the year. Hallelujah for that. I know it doesn't, miraculously get lighter the day after, but at least you know you're going in the right direction. I forget every winter how tricky these few weeks around Christmas are for the light. I now have to make sure my last ridden job of the day, I have to be there by 2 at the absolute latest, because, for example, yesterday, it's such a grey, miserable few days at the moment, but it was literally dark by 2:30. Like, all the cars had their full lights on, and I was like hacking down the road thinking, I shouldn't be out here, it feels really gloomy and like wrong. It's so difficult, isn't it? And just trying to fit everything into these few hours in the middle of the day when it is light, it's hard. It's hard. So I feel everybody's pain right now, because you feel like you're having to really bust a gut to get everything done and fitted in, but it's not for too much longer. I sort of think once you're out of December, you do start noticing that it's a little bit lighter in the evening. So come on, let's get to the 22nd and get over that hurdle. Excuse the attractive hat hair. Also, it's like bit me on the nose. Really annoying. Right, I'm back at lunchtime today. I don't manage to do this every day, but if possible I'll try and come back at lunch and then do a swap around again. That way all the horses have a decent amount of time in the turnout pen. Oh God, for dragging his haylage everywhere around his stable. So annoying. Right, hello. You look like you got poo on your face. She's normally quite happy to come back in again, aren't you? Me? Should we get you in and put the heat pad on? I'm going to try and give her a long reining session as well, so I should have just about enough time. So I'm going to swap her around with Coop, put the heat pad on her, chuck him out here, go and get some lunch. Look how wet it is out here. Not much fun, is it? So to come into my tack room to get the heat pad for Sienna, I only find that both batteries are dead. They don't seem to last very long. I don't know if that's because these are old batteries or quite what, but anyway, they both need charging. So no heat pad on her today, which is annoying because actually it's quite cold out and it would have been a good idea too, but get them on charge so they're ready for tomorrow.
So with the sort of 35 minutes free I had over lunch, I decided to long rein Sienna over some poles. You can see I set them up around my arena. She also had the bum band and the belly band on. So the bum band to make sure she tracked up behind. It was like using her hindquarters. And then the belly band, just a reminder to engage her core muscles. I really like doing these slightly kind of bigger raised poles with her. She's pretty good. I long rein her in the head collar all the time because she's not a strong horse. She did have a little funny 5 minutes where she sort of spooked herself and she might have taken off and done a few laps of the school. But, good way to burn some energy. And just had enough time to fit in her stretches. She just got so good at her stretches. And you guys are right, that lick makes all the difference. She's much happier to kind of keep licking at it so she holds the stretch for a good length of time.
I am back from work. It's literally a couple of minutes off 4 o'clock and it's so much brighter today. Yesterday it was so dark, today it's so much brighter. So I'm going to crack on and do the turnout pen and knock everyone back out again, but turnout pen comes first because I don't have lights out there, so it gets dark very quickly and then I can't see near the poo. So I'm going to go and do that, and while I'm doing that the horses are all going to get a chance to go out in the arena and have a little roll. Billy and Corporal can go out without supervision, has to be supervised, otherwise she's a daft moo. There's Mr. Coop. Yeah, this is the only problem with Corporal. Has a bit of an obsession with eating the oak leaves in the corner there. And I'm not sure they're that good for him to be eating. I'd have hoped he'd gone and rolled straight away, but he decided that that's more interesting. So I'll have to keep a little eye on him, because if he keeps eating them, I'll have to come in and stand in the yard. But I'm hoping he'll go and roll. That's what I want him to go and do anyway. I want him to go and have a roll. Excuse the dog in the background. So they are all on haylage at the moment. This is actually quite a dry haylage and actually quite a long, thick-stemmed haylage, which they don't particularly like. They prefer it when it's a little bit richer and a little bit sweeter. He did finally have a roll. In the afternoons, I always make sure there's a salt lick around. Coop and Sienna particularly like a salt lick. There goes number 2. He's straight. You right there? He wants to roll in that patch, he says. I think actually Coop might have had 2 rolls by the looks of it. All right, Bills. Bills is straight in for it, isn't he? This is the reason with this sandpit turnout pen, what you want to call it, being really wet and horrible at the moment. They're not getting the chance to have a roll out there. So why it's important they get to go in the school and have a roll. As long as they don't do any silly messing around and galloping around. Billy, we're watching you. God. Bill's desperate. Finally, the queen of the yard having her roll. She's not allowed to be free range. She's not to be trusted. She's also incredibly cross with me because, what's happened? She lead rope. She got left last and she's the queen. So how could I leave her last? It's disgraceful. So I don't hand graze my horses at this time of year. If I had tons of land, if I won the lottery and had hundreds of acres or better ground, I would turn my horses out all year round without a second thought. But I've said our ground's absolutely rubbish. Now, I don't hand graze because Sienna especially picks up a routine so quickly. You do hand grazing once or twice and she's like, right, that's a daily occurrence. And then when she doesn't get it, you get really shoppy about it, don't you? She gets really cross and really grumpy. And sometimes it's just not worth the hassle with her. I will start hand grazing them in the new year when we sort of head towards the chance of them going back out again. I start to hand graze them again then to help get their sort of stomachs back used to having a bit of grass so that when they do go out, it's not such a shock to their system. But at this time of year, especially when the ground's so wet, even trying to hand graze them out there is a bit of a nightmare because it's so muddy. And also, if I hand graze all 3 horses, it's the best part of an hour. I'd rather use that hour to work them than to hand graze them. So as much as it's really cruel and really mean and that, they would have obviously appreciate it, sometimes at this time of year it's not worth doing because it just causes more trouble, doesn't it? Especially with you. So yeah, it's something that I definitely do with them more kind of in January time when we sort of hopefully heading towards being able to turn them back out. I'll do it then, but not sort of this side of Christmas. Hey? I know. I do feel really mean though. So it is now dark outside. So I'm going to give this old boy a groom because he didn't get work today. I always prioritise Sienna being ridden because she needs it mentally and physically more. He gets worked about 3 or 4 times a week. She most often 6. If I can make it 7, I will. I mean, this is why he's super flexible because he does this all day. Even with his rug on, he does this all day long. So I mean, great, because he does his own carrot stretches. Anyway, I'm going to get on and give him a groom. It's just a nice thing to do with him, really, though I suspect he'd probably rather his tea, wouldn't you? He came in thinking I was bringing his tea. He was most disappointed when he saw I had grooming stuff. He was like, oh, God, really? But yeah, it's important to give him a bit of a groom and keep on top of his coat and try and help him stay as healthy as he possibly can. It is 8 o'clock and it's time for evening stables. It's one of the great things about living right next door to the horses is that I can come out and do this. It's a good opportunity just to skip out the stables again, redo their haylage, redo waters, check whether they need an extra rug, that kind of thing. It's quite cold tonight actually. Yeah, it's really lucky. I'm really lucky to be able to do this, and it does just make the stables that little bit quicker to do in the morning if I've mopped them out now, because quite often there's a good 2 or 3 poos in them. Just opening a new bale tonight and it looks better. From what I can tell, it looks more like what they'll enjoy. Yeah, can you see it's a much shorter cut, and it smells great, but I can already see I've become a haylage connoisseur. I know what my horse is like and they're going to love this tonight. This is going to make them very happy. I think it's about to be a very low flying aeroplane. And the final thing that we do every evening is I get out 3 sugar lumps because you know what, I like to spoil them. 1 for the old boy. Make sure it's right in, mister. Sometimes he loses it because he's missing so many teeth. 1 for Madam. What is his ears? For Bills. Hey Bills, what are you watching out there? Here you go. Oh, Bills always has to lick when he does it. Good night. And that is the end of my horses' morning, lunchtime, afternoon, evening routine. Sienna is happy tucking away. I knew she'd love that haylage. Very her cup of tea. I hope you've enjoyed. I mean, I'm not sure it's the most exciting vlog in the world, but it's quite nice to be nosy, isn't it? I don't think I do a particularly great job. Some days I don't manage to get half the stuff done that I need to get done, but you just have to do your best at this time of year, don't you? And it's really only for the next few weeks where I think it's really tough. And then I think it always gets a little bit easier once you kind of get into January and it starts getting lighter. And yeah, they seem happy. They seem happy enough. I'd say Corporal's the only one that I think, there he is, sometimes gives me the sad eyes of I really want to go out in the field. Sienna doesn't bother her that much. She loves her stable. Billy seems very happy in the turnout pen. That's enough for him. He can look out. He's happy. And I'm really pleased we do have the turnout pen because at least I know they can get out. They can have a walk around. They can look out over the view. And I think that does make a huge difference. But yeah, I suppose you're always going to have that bit of guilt that you're not doing enough to make them happy. But I think they're pretty